Have you been thinking about getting an EV but not 100% sure? Maybe you're worried about the resale value, or maybe that you run out of battery halfway through the highway, or maybe you're just wondering if something breaks, who's going to fix it? All totally fair. And frankly, I have the same questions too. So in this video, I'm just going to talk through some of the most common fears people have about owning an EV, especially here in Singapore. What's real, what's just noise, and what you probably don't need to stress about. So if you're EV curious but still kind of on the fence, stick around. This might help you decide. Okay, first things first, let's clear this up once and for all. A car is not an investment. I don't care how atas your rims are or how shiny your paint job is, you're just not going to be flipping it like a property and retiring early. And EVs, they're even worse in that sense. Think of them like smartphones. Every year there's a new one, better battery, flashier screen, comes with some new smart feature you didn't ask for but now suddenly need. So yeah, resale value, not exactly in your favor. Now I know in Singapore where a car costs as much as a flat down payment, everybody's counting dollars and cents. I totally get it, but part of why resale value for EVs still kind of feel a bit meh is because the market's still flooded with a lot of petrol cars. You try to sell your EV secondhand and the uncle at the used car lot will say, bro, EV no value lah. And let's not forget, people are still scared of what they don't fully understand. Batteries, software, charging, AI driving your car for you. It's a lot. The fear of the unknown is quite real. So if you're someone who's planning to let go of your car at the 5-year COE halfway point before the value nosedives, you might want to pause, because EVs for now, probably not the best value play. But hey, things are moving fast, so just like your phone becomes obsolete in 2 years, maybe, just maybe, resale value will level out just as quick. Fingers crossed, I hope. Let's talk about charging, because honestly, this is probably the first thing people ask you when you're driving an EV. Lately, I've started to notice. During peak hours, especially at popular places like malls or business areas, chargers are actually getting a bit more packed. You might have to wait. On average, maybe around 15 to 20 minutes. Not ideal if you're in a hurry. But it's not the end of the world, and the good news, actually most charging apps let you set a notification, so they will ping you when the charger becomes free. Pretty useful. Yes, there's still work to be done. Some spots definitely need more chargers, but still pretty easy to find one if you ask me. But what catches a lot of people off guard is how many of these chargers are actually taken up by commercial vehicles. Your delivery vans, your Grab drivers, ride-hailing drivers, and yeah, those folks. They are out on the road all day, so naturally they will be charging more often. So that's something to keep in mind. But the real trick with EVs is how you think about charging. It's not like petrol, where you wait till the needle hits empty and then you go find a petrol kiosk to rush to fill it up. EVs are a lot more like your phone. You charge a little here, a little there, park for lunch, plug it in, run errands, plug it in. So you don't wait till it's at 1%. Pretty much the same idea as your phone. Once you build that habit, charging actually stops becoming a stress point. It just becomes something you do in the background without thinking too much about it. So yeah, it's not perfect yet, but if you adjust your mindset and your routine just a bit, charging really isn't a big deal. Yes, range anxiety. Honestly, this one's talked about a lot, but in places like Singapore, it really shouldn't even be a thing. Look, the island's only about 50 km across. Even if your battery is down to 5%, there's probably a charger within 10 or 15 minutes of where you are. So if you're just using your car for daily errands, school runs, or the occasional trip to IKEA, you're pretty much covered. People worry because they are still thinking like petrol drivers. Run the tank to empty, then start panicking. But like I mentioned earlier, EVs aren't meant to be driven to zero. You top up here and there, keep that habit, and you almost never feel like you're running low. Now, where range anxiety can be a little bit more real is when you head across the border, going on a road trip to Malaysia. Yeah, you need to plan ahead a bit. Not because range isn't enough, but because the charging infrastructure can be patchy in more rural areas. I was considering driving all the way to the east coast of Peninsula, near Mersing, while the range is sufficient. But it's still risky because I don't have a charger for a return of 300 km because it's really rural. And I recently did a camping trip, as some of you may know, and had to drive out to a slightly more remote area, bit off the usual highway path. And yes, I had to plan my charging stops more carefully than usual, but it was manageable. If anything, it just reminded me how much smoother things are when you're sticking to the major routes. If you're going between the big towns or cities like JB, Malacca, or KL, chargers are actually pretty easy to find. And here's the bonus. EVs are great in traffic jams. Sitting on a causeway for an hour or two, not burning fuel, not stressing over engine heating, EVs just sip power while you relax and you question your life choices. So really, range anxiety is mostly a mindset thing. For day-to-day use in Singapore, it's truly a non-issue. And even for longer trips, a bit of planning is really all it takes. And frankly, if you wanted to drive from Singapore all the way to KL on no charge, you can actually do that as well. Of course, you're cutting it very thin, but no dramas in most cases. All right, the last one, and it's a true valid concern. What happens when something goes wrong? Right now, most workshops still don't have deep expertise with EVs. These cars rely on high voltage systems, software diagnostics, specialized components, and it's not your regular spanner and oil change kind of job. Cross-training mechanics takes time, and even some authorized centers are still catching up. The good news? Most EVs in Singapore come with strong warranties, typically 5 to 6 years on the vehicle, or up to 8 years on battery, or 150, 200,000 kilometers on the battery. So for most owners, you're covered if anything major happens. Parts though can be a bit tricky. EV adoption has obviously outpaced supply chains, and for newer models or brands, some components like battery modules or sensors can actually take a while to arrive. So some reports even mention that EV parts are running 6 to 12 months behind the demand in some regions. And unlike the traditional ICE cars, there isn't much of aftermarket yet. So most parts come straight from the manufacturer still, which can mean higher costs and also potentially longer waits. That said, we all know this is a phase, right? As the EV market matures, more mechanics will get trained, more workshops will gear up, and parts will become more readily available. We are already seeing this obviously in China and some places like Norway where the adoption of EV is much stronger. So yes, it's not perfect right now, but if your car is under warranty and you stick to regular servicing, it's really nothing to panic about. Just part of the transaction. So those are the big ones. Resale values, charging, range anxiety, and repairs. All valid concerns, but hopefully you can see that most of them aren't real deal breakers once you actually look a little deeper. Yes, EVs come with some growing pains, the tech's still evolving, support still catching up, and public perception still a work in progress. But honestly, a lot of the fear comes from old habits and unfamiliarity. So if you're someone who's curious about EV but still on the fence, my advice is simple. Do your homework, take a test drive, talk to real owners like myself or anybody around you. Because once you experience the quiet drive, the instant talk, the convenience of charging, or while you're having coffee, it's kind of hard to go back. If this video helped you understand things better, as always, give me a like. Got a question or something you're still worried about, feel free to drop it in the comments because I do actually read every single one. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.